Good afternoon, my friends. This is the Grim Flayer. Hope you're all doing very well today, and I hope you are ready to revisit Abzan Stoneblade in Modern in the form of another donation league. If you haven't seen the last one, that one is well worth watching. It was a great league, and we are back at it, but with a list with several changes from what we played last time. So, this list is provided to us by longtime Confidant tier Patreon supporter, Andre McInerney. So, Andre, thank you so much, my friend, for your long-standing support and for working with me to provide this wonderful list and to fund this donation league. So, hands up to Andre, everybody. Thank you so much, my friend. And let's talk a little bit about his list. So, I am playing the list that he submitted exactly as he did it. I kind of found myself with a little bit of a gap in my schedule time to play today, and that doesn't happen every day, believe me. And Andre happened to message me. He had qualified for a donation league. He says, hey, I've got a list. So I didn't really waste any time. I didn't want to go too far into a back and forth because I wanted to play when I had the chance, right? And the only thing I did change is the land base. So we are on 19, I believe, black sources, 15 green, 15 white. And that is after my modifications. We were too shy on white for my tastes before. But Andre wanted to play two, I believe these were peatlands originally, and two shambling vents. So we kept the vents around. And my preference for building an Abzan mana base is not only do we want to hit those numbers and those metrics for consistency for the various color production, but also I like having my green sources as painless as possible. So to that end, we moved a few things around, but we've got, the green concentrated in our shock lands and in our fast lands especially, and the white sources concentrated in our utility lands. To me, that makes sense because, of course, one of the big attractions of scavenging ooze is life gain, but if you're operating off peatlands with the scoos, you're just kind of spinning your wheels in that regard. So that's the land base. With that aside, you are looking at Andre's exact 75 as he submitted it to me. The Fjords list is one that, as mentioned, we did play previously. The previous Abzan League on the channel is with his list, and that in turn is something that I had kind of worked with the Fjord. Over time, it was ultimately his list, but I did have some input into it. Whereas Andre's list is something that he has come up with basically without my input at all, besides the land base. So the differences from the way that the Fjord and I approach the list versus the way Andre's approaching the archetype, we're going to go over those quickly. A lot of the main deck stuff is the same. A lot of the proportions are the same, one of this, two of that. But the big departure is only 2 Lingering Souls, whereas the Fjord was playing the full playset. Now, we do have the third one on the side. Nevertheless, this is a much reduced presence of souls, more moderate spirit host at our disposal. And we do have a couple of very powerful cards in its place, though. We have a top-end 4-drop of Questing Beast. Does make me a little bit more interested in a 24th land if we have a 4-drop, but shouldn't be beyond the pale, right? Shouldn't be that big a deal. Hopefully it's not. And perhaps more interestingly, because, we all know how good QB is Sword of Sinew and Steel, which is a card that I have never played before, and I was really curious as to why we are playing this card, because it is one of the less played swords, and the fact that it's pro-red alongside Fire and Ice, there's some overlap. It's not like we're just playing it for its protection effects, right? Because we already have pro-red, and you could get a different pro-black sword in there if that's all you really cared about. But Andre says this is really well positioned right now because there's a lot of Stoneblade mirrors going around, and there's a whole lot of Planeswalkers going around, and you know what? That is true. So I've never used this card before. I'm looking forward to hopefully winning something on the back of this at least once. That would be pretty cool. The sideboard, however, is where things get a little bit interesting, and he's got a lot of good stuff. It's a very teched out, lots of only 1 and 2 ofs, we're not all in on a 3 of or a 4 of anything. And I like a lot of the choices. A lot of them are ones that I was playing. Choke is something that I do not believe was in the Fjords list, but probably is now, and would be in my updated list as well. So definitely with you on that. We've got the Gideon as a one-of, which we love. We've got like 1 Brutality, 2 Plague Man, 2 Ashiok. A lot of this stuff is 2 Spellbomb. A lot of this stuff is standard BGX fare. Nothing wrong with that. 1 of Surgical is fine. It's not my favorite right now, but it's pretty much always viable. I really like having access to EE. Is this deck the best fit for it? I don't know. We do play pretty diverse along the curve, so you could say that maybe Explosives has a relatively low floor and high ceiling. Or maybe, sorry, I got that wrong. A relatively high ceiling and low floor in our deck, because there's probably a good amount of times where it's not going to be perfect, but there's a pretty high number of times where you've got to imagine we can do something really good with this, and it's not going to set us back too far. It's a card I'm always happy to see as a one-of. Kaya Orzhov Usurper is another one-of, so this is a 3-mana, 3-loyalty planeswalker who functions as supplemental life gain and graveyard hate by ticking up, and is very good against low curve decks because you can tick her down. It's only -1 to exile target non-land permanent with CMC 1 or less, so lots of use cases for that, and you know, the ultimate is very attainable and definitely a pretty solid ability, definitely a pretty solid life swing, and if the game's really grindy, eventual win condition. So I like every single choice in the sideboard in a vacuum. The big problem, potentially, we'll see if it is what is missing. There is no Stone Rain effect. Fulminator Mage would be the effective choice, of course. In an Abzan list, we do not have any copies of Fulminator, and a few people have been in talks with me lately about Donation League, and they have submitted lists to me without any Stone Rain effects as well, and I don't know if that's a coincidence or if this is a coming trend. I have been pushing back against this, because, I do, as I say in my Donation League write-up, kind of reserve the right to negotiate the list. I'm not going to press my views on the donor. It's the donor's list after all, but I'll say, hey, have we thought of this? Or what do you think of that? Or why did we do this? Therefore, I have been, as I say, kind of pushing back against the lack of Fulminator, but with Andre's list, I said, you know what, this is like the 3rd list someone has sent me this week with no Fulminators in it. I'm just going to play it and see how it goes. I'm really not optimistic about it, though, against big mana. I do understand, though, that if there is a BGX flavor that you'd probably want to play without a Stone Rain effect in, maybe, just maybe, it's Abzan, because, it's a little non-Bowie with Path to Exile, and Path can be good against some of the big mana decks, but really, I think Fulminator is at least a necessary evil, if not actively awesome right now. But, hey, maybe we'll dodge big mana, and maybe it won't matter, and we'll have all of our bases extra covered for the other archetypes. So anyway, those are my thoughts on Andre's list. We're going to go straight into a league, and right at the end of my little deck tech there, I got a notification for a new Patreon supporter. We have a few of them to thank here, including the one who just popped up. So why don't I find the Modern League button here, and I'll tell you about that as we're finding our first opponent. So the one who just popped up on my phone, Timothy Toronto. Welcome, Timothy. Thank you. This is the fastest turnaround from sign up to shout out that I've ever had. And Timothy's a confidant, so thank you very much, my friend. I do appreciate your support. The other Patreon supporters we have to thank are all high rollers. We have a brand new Tireless Tracker supporter, Adam Bush. Welcome aboard, Adam. Glad to have you, my friend. And we have 2 already great Tireless supporters, both of whom have gone up to the Of the Veil tier. Talk about high roller, the highest level of support. Thank you so much to Teddy Dector for doing this, as well as Ian Ray for doing this by way of his wonderful significant other, Rachel Kellogg. I understand this was a birthday gift to Ian from Rachel, so thank you very much, Ian and Rachel. I was not clear about the timing of all this, so hopefully this announcement does not spoil any surprises. My bad if so, but anyway, we've got a pretty medium hand, but I'm going to keep it. It's functional enough in a blind, but having the Batter Skull already in the opener is not ideal, but remember, we only have 3 SFM, and we have 3 equipment. And we're right against big mana right away. Well, so much for dodging it, right? Anyway, guys, I just want to say an extra thank you because so many of the people I just mentioned sent really great messages as well. I know everybody you know, is going through a bit of a tough time right now. Some financially, some socially, some medically, and, you know, for some it's a combination of the above. So lots of well wishes, lots of great, great sentiment. I appreciate you all, and some very generous supporters that we're thanking today. So thanks once again to Ian and Rachel, to Teddy, to Adam, and to, where's our newest one, Timothy. And as well, of course, to Andre McInerney for supporting this content for long enough to have earned a league. So, like I said, we are against big mana. You hate to see it. Not much we can do besides try to race, and our hand does not race particularly well at all. We've drawn pretty well. Inquisition was a pretty good first draw, and Liliana is a pretty good second draw. But will it be enough? I kind of doubt it. Well, Sinew and Steel can destroy that amulet. Why don't we get it? I don't think it's going to matter, necessarily. But that's probably the better one to get. You know, Fire and Ice races and can draw us toward more disruption. But, like, tagging the amulet's a really good way to race. Opponents found an Explorer. And they found another bounce land. Pretty bad news for us. Pretty bad, pretty bad. And they found Ancient Stirring, so their draws have been pretty great. They find another bounce land off of it. So still no payoff. They're going to have to spend Talaria West to get a Summoner's Pact in order to get the payoff. We'll see what we draw. Of course. Blooming Marsh. Alright, so we're guaranteeing the fourth land. So is it better to play Lingering Souls this turn, and then next turn we can, you know, flash in the equipment and suit up a spirit? I think probably the answer is yes. Liliana the Veil doesn't do enough here. The other thing we could do, though, is just say go and hold up Path to Exile. Then we'll be equipping SFM herself. I think I'm going to get the souls down here. That way we get our 1-2 Squire beat, you know. Could make the difference, you never know. Ooh, another Explorer. That could actually be bad news. That seems like the top deck, and it's kind of banking on them only having so much mana to work with this turn after they Talaria West, but Explorer not only sees them a new card, which kind of looked to me like they were maybe tapping for a Dryad of the Elysian Grove. It also lets them have much more mana in conjunction with all these bounce lands in this amulet. We really do need to steal games like this when we can. Just again, because we don't have those Fulminators in the side. Yeah, sure enough, that is the Dryad. So they're playing 3 lands this turn. And the Dryad actually rewards us for playing the Spirits, because otherwise the Dryad could not block, or the Stoneforge could be blocked by the Dryad. Alright, we got the Amulet. Dryad, of course, a win condition in its own right. They got another Amulet. Oh man, oh man, oh man. Well, there goes Talaria. Other Amulets, very punishing. Very, very punishing. Genuinely don't think there is, like, a good outcome for this, though. No matter how we sequenced, like, if we had passed holding up Path instead of playing the Spirits, like I said, Dryad could block, we'd be priced into pathing the Dryad, which is pretty bad in its own right. I just don't think there's a real way for us through here, given our draw. And this is the very last matchup I wanted to face with our lack of Fulminators, but, you know, that's kind of how it's been lately, in some ways. Now we're just gonna die. In other words, what I'm saying is, like, it's possible that, given how it played out, we could have sequenced a little bit differently, but ultimately I do not think it matters in the least. Okay. Okay. Well, we have very little to do, but at least we have Ashiok's. And I think we need to commit to the choke plan, given our lack of Fulminators, for sure. Kaya minus wanting to exile Amulets and Sakura Tribe Scouts is probably too cute, but I will at least leave her here for consideration. But Ashiok choke, I don't really think I like Surgical without a critical mass of destruction effects. You know, I'm weirdly interested a little bit more in Collective Brutality because they're showing me Explore. So between Explore and killing the Tribe Scout, I think, and you know, taking pacts and stuff, I think there might be more use cases for this than is immediately apparent. Alright. Do we trim away at the Stoneblade package at all? Or is, like, the clunky equipment still better than Lingering Souls? And Scavenging Ooze and stuff like that? Yeah, we'd... Alright, I think I'm going to put a Fatal Push back in, because I just don't love a lot of our cards in the 75 for this matchup. One copy of Souls is something I would not mind leveraging. I brought back one Fatal Push. We're just, like, very, very hedged right now. And I think overall that's okay. I think overall that's inevitable, in fact. Just deciding what the worst card of these 61 is. I think it might actually just be Batterskull. Just a run like this. Okay, well. We have our work cut out for us to win both games. I'm not optimistic, but we shall see. We shall see. Putting the no Fulminators theory to the test right away. I mean, this is our dilemma. This hand functions, it's fine. But it's not great, but we don't have that much that's great to mulligan toward. Like, aggressively mulling for, like, a 2 of Ashiok, I don't think that's correct. I think we're keeping. And at least we can kill a turn 1 Tribe Scout if they lead on that, and if not, we just try to race with Stoneforge Mystic, I guess. They will pass. Okay. Snow-covered forest with no plays got me thinking. It's got me thinking about Veil of Summer. One thing I forgot to mention in the deck tech is that I did end up playing a second Temple Garden, just like I did on the Fjords list, which does not seem necessarily correct to me, but it was the way to get, like, with 2 Overgrown Tombs, you end up on 20 black sources, and then you have only 14 of either green or white, depending, you know? So, really was not, you know, unless you do something weird, I really was not seeing a more obvious way to get the supplementary colors up. We've drawn Liliana. That's pretty good. I think we have to play her. Although we are kind of fully abandoning the race plan at that point. But really without a... without a need for the triggered ability of necessarily either, I do think I'm supposed to go Liliana here. It's going to punish them for holding up Veil. I think we're pitching Collective Brutality because we are suspicious for Veil, as well as the fact that it's just kind of the weakest card in our hand in terms of raw power. So you can see how this would be very acceptable so far if we had a Tarmogoyf here on turn 2, but the Squire, not necessarily the solo beater of dreams. However, you know, we could still put something cool together. We will have to see. Looks like they've got Zeusa. Okay. I was assuming Dryad. Zeus is pretty scary. Pretty scary indeed. Another Lily. Well, it's some pretty poor stuff, but all we can do is play out another relatively underwhelming 2-drop and say go. We're about to flash in a sword, and you know, they can cast a turn 4 Titan here pretty easily, you have to imagine. We know they have a basic forest to put back down. That gives them a second green and the 6th mana. And there's very little we can do about it. Of course, we can hope they don't have it, but since when have they ever possibly not had it, right? That's just not how these decks operate. They literally just always have it. Well, about to be a pretty ignominious loss here for us in round 1, but, you know, we identified this before the league even started. I wanted to fade big mana. I think big mana is tougher for Abzan than it is for Rock or Jund anyway. And then when you don't have Fulminators, you're just basically hoping to dodge it, as far as I can tell. I'm not laying down the law here. I'm not giving you like a hard and fast, indisputable opinion. I'm just telling you my perspective on the setup here. Growth Chamber Talaria West, so they are basically using this Titan to ramp and to set up a Titan again next turn. So we're going to Edict this Titan, and to that end, I guess we just put Fire and Ice on the field. Alright, Edict you. Guess we're supposed to probably equip the U's and then attack, and then see what we want to do after we draw. I don't imagine that we want to hold up Mystic, so I'm tempted to attack, but maybe that's wrong. Maybe we draw like a 1-drop that makes us want to wish we did that. So we shock them, we draw a card. We've drawn Inquisition, hey, okay. I mean, it's probably not good enough, but we don't want to play Liliana again. Number one, because edicting with her is probably better at this point than anything else, and number two, you know, just losing our other sword, even though it's a little medium right now, is not great. So, yeah, we are going to Inquisition. They will pact in response. Yikes, so they already had a pact. They don't even need to transmute. They go get a Titan. Okay, we get Explorer, so we're going to be trying to win through 3 Titans here. Seems pretty impossible. But alright, whatever you say. We got 2 things to eat with the Scoos. 2 creatures, that is. So, it could become an 8/8 that shocks after we equip the Sinew and Steel, too. Okay, so they play Stronghold. They have 1 unknown in hand. We're dumping out another Blade. We've drawn another Inquisition, huh? Doesn't seem that good. Once again, I think we should attack first before we decide to do anything. And once again, I cannot... Well, now, this time we are going to attack with Mystic, right? Sure. But it's not correct to eat before damage or anything like that. Alright, how do we do this? Up to 1 target Planeswalker and up to 1 target Artifact. But I don't want to... Is this targeting right now? I can't tell. This is my problem, because I've never used this before. No other legal targets to choose from, but it says up to 1. Where's my option to hit no targets? I'm just going to say, okay, I can't tell... Like, I don't know why Sword of Fire and Ice is highlighted. It looks like I'm about to destroy my sword. I don't think I am. Okay, choose up to 1 target artifact. Click OK to continue. Okay, sorry. MTGO interface, not always the most intuitive, but we did it. We did it. We successfully did not destroy our own stuff. Alright. Now what is our best play with what remains? I don't think it's Inquisition. I don't even really think it's Liliana, like they just lose a forest. So why don't we crack Silent Clearing, see if we can find, like, a Thoughtseize? Nope. Play Marsh. There was a little bit of thought to playing Catacombs for a second Ooze activation this turn, but I think I'd rather have more mana at my disposal next turn. So we play the tap land now. But a whiff. Well, we got the opponent down to 4. It's really, for a Stoneblade progression, this is not a bad way to race. and we've certainly disrupted a bit, and we've kept up on card advantage quite well. But without a hard hate card anywhere along the way, it's still pretty tough, especially against a progression like they had. Man, oh man, oh man. Really resilient progression. It didn't need to be the fastest ever, because we're not the fastest ever, right? So all they needed was like a ton of lands, some acceleration, and a ton of virtual copies of Titan, and that's exactly what they had. So, hate to see it. I mean, hey, maybe we were supposed to just side in Surgical and try to Surgical Titans, but they have other win conditions baked into the main deck, and certainly if they have alt win cons in the side, they should probably come in against us. Therefore, I'm not very high on that plan these days against Titan. But it is possible that because we don't have as strong of a game plan without Fulminators that we're supposed to. I don't really know. Opponent just tanking here, figuring out the best line. Yeah, the fact that they didn't just start by casting Titan led me to believe they had something like this. So they just top deck the Dryad, or yeah, maybe they had it last turn and we should have Inquisitioned, but I kind of doubt they had it, right? It seems like a top deck to me. But either way, we'll see us later. That's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of things and a lot of stuff. All right. Don't know what possible outs are in our deck. Yikes, Vesuva, jeez. Okay. I don't really think we have any. What about you? Okay, they just had another, okay. Well. Yeah, I mean, I've already said everything that needs to be said. This is just the matchup we hope to dodge for the whole league, and we just run smack into it game one. Well, hey. Just a little bit more of a reminder of what Fulminator can do for the archetype. Like, sometimes, like, when you have Fulminators in your deck, or even with part of your progression and you lose, there's a temptation for, I think, mid-range players sometimes to say, well, these matchups are bad, this isn't good enough, I'm just going to play without them. I think that's a trap, because I think, especially when big mana is so common, you have to play with Fulminators in your deck, because they're not really taking up sideboard real estate in an unjustifiable way when you know you're going to run into these matchups left, right, and center. That's my take anyway, and they really do make a huge difference. Like, look at that Azusa turn where they were left with, like, 5 mana on turn 3, but only 3 lands, because 2 of them are bounce lands. A simple Fulminator Mage unwinds so much of the damage, and if we had a Fulminator to play on curve that game, I think we would have won it. You never know, but anyway, a rough one round 1. That is okay. We're here in round 2. We got a nice opener, no threat, so I guess it's not that nice, but you love to see this interaction, I guess. Given some of my leagues lately, I have a pretty low bar for what's like an awesome opening hand. I've just been taking a ton of mulligans, and to be fair, we haven't mulliganed yet here. Long may that continue. Alright, we're against Dredge. Wow, and they have Reunion, Shriekhorn. So it's a very uninquisitionable hand, and our interaction in hand is actually awful. So, okay. Shriekhorn is the clear take here, because our only saving grace is that they don't have a great hand for Reunion. So between the fact that Shriekhorn's a turn 1 play, there'd be a lot of incentive to take it in general, and the fact that they don't have things that are scary to pitch besides Prized Amalgam, it's okay. Like, it's okay for us so far, but we need to draw a threat right now. Instead, we'll draw Temple Garden. Okay. Pass to you. Alright, we got a ton of really good threats in this spot. Given their stumble, given the fact that we kind of made them stumble with this Inquisition, unless they drew something awesome here off this reunion, a Skooz, a Goyf, a Stoneforge Mystic, these are all great draws for us. Okay, they're casting the reunion. They found Life from the Loam, so we are in trouble. And there's not a thing we could have done about it. Next turn, they get Bloodghast, Prized Amalgam back. They start looping Life from the Loam. We gotta find something. We found Skooz. Awesome. What an awesome find. Okay. That's what we needed. If only we'd found it last turn, we'd be untapping with 3 green mana right now. But I will not complain. So there's nothing that we absolutely need to hit right now. You could argue maybe Bloodghast, because that's harder to blow out. Like, if they open on a fetch land, we won't necessarily be able to respond to it, but I'm pretty happy just saying go here, and then eating the Prized Amalgam if I can't compete over the Bloodghast. Actually, you know what? Scratch that. I do think we're actually supposed to just eat the Bloodghast right now. Simply because we know for a fact they're getting fetch lands back this turn with the Life from the Loam, if they have nothing better to do anyway. That's like the floor for their turn, right? Ooh, okay. They found Conflagrate, they found... Okay, well, I mean... We're pretty punished. We're pretty freaking punished for that. Okay, so we played around their low floor, but they just had a high ceiling. That sucks. That really sucks. That said, we can still honestly beat this, because we're about to have 4 green sources, which is quite lucky when we untap. And we have to eat Imp, Thug, Conflagrate, our must-eats. And that's about all that we have to eat. I'm going to fetch now. Just because it's better to do so when in doubt. So you're not shields down with your fetch on the stack. Then we're going race mode. We can't block a lot of their stuff anyway. Definitely correct to turn it sideways here. Alright, before damage, eating the Imp, eating the Thug, and eating the Conflagrate is something we have to do before their turn. Might as well do it right now. We could eat Neonate, but I'm not going to. I'm going to hold up 1 activation. Alright, so Skooz is going to quite possibly solo them. They've got a ton of jump blockers, though. And they've established a nice engine. And they had a really good hit there that gave them a real shot in this game last turn. If they had a more moderate turn, it would be probably no problem for us to win this game 1, given their slowish start. But they're hitting us for a lot. They're hitting us for 8. But the reason this is not as bad as it looks is because we have 2 removal spells in hand, both of which play well with this Ooze. Okay, Life from the Loam, I'm not going to compete over this. They're just targeting some non-utility lands anyway. Cathartic Reunion, and they have 2 imps to pitch. Okay, let's eat one of them. A little scary, not gonna lie. So they dredge off the imp, and then they get to dredge. They didn't find anything else off loam, but my goodness, look at this turn. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. So now the only must-eat remaining in the graveyard is Golgari Thug. We've drawn a Shambling Vent, eh? Shambling Vent is not an unreasonable play simply because our other lands tread water as far as life gain is concerned, because we have to fetch, of course. And this could help stabilize us. I think I'm actually going to play it. Eat the Thug, say go, holding up a push in 2 activations. The Dredge 2 of Dakmor Salvage, not the scariest. Thankfully, they didn't hit like another chill or something. I guess I'm pushing a Narcomoeba here. And we go to 4. You know, some hardcast stuff is a little bit scary now, even like a Creeping Chill. They're going to hardcast a Stinkweed Imp, also a little scary. Alright, so here on the unstep, we are just gaining every point of life we can. We're not worrying about eating the life from the loam quite yet. But we will. See what we can draw, though. Just only lands, huh? So let's say they have nothing else to do, they turn them all sideways. 2 lands for a trophy. Block the Amalgam. We're not dead on board. What if we eat the life from the loam? Then are we dead on board? Still maybe not, but we're dead to like hardcast Creeping Chill or hardcast Bloodghast perhaps in that sense, in that case. But what's scarier, allowing them to dredge with loam? Yeah, I think we're supposed to eat life from the loam. I mean, even the draw of a basic land here would be better than all these fetch lands and the shock lands we're flooded with, right? Wonder how different this game would have been if I'd let them go to their turn instead of eating the Bloodghast on their upkeep. Again, we were playing around the like decent floor they had if we didn't do that for their turn. Just going all in on these Narcomoeba beats, huh? Is it worth trophying one of these? I think it might be. I think we have to save every point of life that we can, and also we have to assume we're going to keep drawing. We're going to draw something eventually. So even though, like, it's obviously better to save the trophy for, like, a Stinkweed Imp or something, we have to assume we're going to draw more action. Believe opponent has a third mountain in hand, and they failed to find off of the trophy. Other Stinkweed Imp, yep. Alright, end step. Just eat some more inconsequential food items. We've got an 11-11 Skoos. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, not gonna lie. A silent clearing. I mean, technically it's a land that does something. But how flooded can we get, right? Oh my god, and we hit a blooming marsh. Bruh moment. Well, I'm going to pause here like I'm considering action, like I'm considering how best to leverage my wealth of spells and interaction. But really, we're just passing, holding up, I guess, Shambling Vent and one Skooz activation, because there is only one creature left in the graveyard to eat. So unless they prompt action demanding otherwise, well, we've got the idea of blocking with Vent, right? Okay. We got no removal left. No ability to block these flyers. Like, even an otherwise bad card like Lingering Souls would be so good here. Anything besides just a billion lands. Don't get me wrong, it's nice we were able to maximum leverage the Skoos, but we do eventually need something else, given how good their progression has been. If they had a medium progression, we could have soloed them with Skoos, I think, fairly well. Alright, well now, I think we compete over every single Dredge. Maybe this was wrong. Maybe we should have let it resolve and competed over the payoffs, right? I'm not sure. If I had thought for one more second, I probably would have maybe let the first Dredge resolve. I don't think it should matter. We're just, like, dead to certain things and not dead to others, and also dependent on our own top deck to come through for us, right? Alright, so eat the Insolent Neonate. There's no other creatures to eat, so I guess now we start eating lands. They're all fetch lands in there, so it really doesn't matter. We'll eat the ones without the old border, because I like the old borders. Alright, what can we draw? Thoughtseize. Goodness gracious, how bad can our draws possibly get? How bad can our draws get? We cannot even attack with Shambling Vent profitably into that Amalgam. So we attack with Vent, we gain 2 life. But we just throw away our Vent for no purpose. But if we sit back, they just send in the flyers, and we lose that way too. So I'm going to attack with the Vent. If I can tap the correct mana. Just a little absurd, you have to say. This could spook the opponent. Maybe they think, maybe they think there's like a collective brutality we want to try to kill the amalgam with, whatever. All right, hey, we connected. We connected. Play the Blooming Marsh, say go. What a sad way to lose this game, though. It's just excruciatingly long, and, like, literal, like, 5 bricks in a row, 6 bricks in a row? Remember, we've also cracked a clearing through the course of all this. Ye old, turn them all sideways. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We are dead. Just make sure for the millionth time I'm not missing any creatures in the graveyard. I'm not. And I have nothing to do. Very, very, very rough. At least Dredge usually has the courtesy of killing you quickly, but in that case, our Scoos was the valiant Scoos. What a hero. What a heroic stand it made, but it was simply not enough. That said, we do have a fair amount to do in this matchup. Ashiok, Spellbomb, Kaya, all good, but would have been great to steal that one, right? We have Plague Engineers, Brutality's pretty fine on the play, Surgical's good. We're loaded down for this matchup. You could see a couple of these other cards playing a role, but I doubt we have room for them. Trying to bring in 9? Trying to bring in 9. We might end up cutting one of the weapons. Probably Sinew and Steel, though tagging Shriekhorn is cute. Liliana's the most obviously bad card. I think we're cutting trophies as well. I'd rather leave pushes in personally in the context of the rest of our deck. From there, we need to make a few trims around the edges. Everything else here is more or less fine. I think I am going to cut a piece of equipment, and then we're making 2 more cuts. I think we shouldn't lack for value. We'll cut the tracker, and we might go down 1 Fatal Push or 1 Lingering Souls. Those are kind of the 2 options I'm seeing. I think I'm going to cut the Souls. I think with so many ways to clean up the graveyard after a Fatal Push, I'm going to leave all 3 in. Alright, well, we've got an enormous amount of tech for this matchup, but a lot of it, like Kaya and Ashiok and Plague Engineer, are kind of like incidental, like their main purpose isn't to beat Dredge. They're just good supplementary ways to beat Dredge. And Surgical is less powerful against Dredge, I think, than it used to be. So even though we have a ton to do, I don't exactly know how favored we are. Well, we've got an opening hand with none of those cards in it, and it already has a piece of equipment, so even though it's functional, I think we have to mull. They keep 7? Are we supposed to keep Inquisition and Surgical, or are we supposed to go to 5? I don't think we can beat 7 going to 5 most of the time, and I think Inquisition on the play can beat a whole lot of their keeps, or at least make them a whole lot worse. So I'm going to keep. Going to bottom. One of the fetches. I'm also going to optimistically shock in an Overgrown Tomb, hoping I draw an early Scoos. Well, they have 2 Shriekhorns, so our Inquisition can't beat this hand. Unless we want to Surgical all Shriekhorns on their draw step. I actually think we probably should, because then their hand just does absolutely nothing. Then, like, they don't have good enablers or good payoffs, so they need to both draw more enablers beyond Shriekhorn and more payoffs to, like, dump their hand out with, like, a Cathartic Reunion or whatever. So I'm going to do it. We also will get to see exactly how they side. Okay, well, we're totally empty-handed after this too, right? But, okay, so they drew a lightning axe. Gotta remember there's a lightning axe in their hand in addition to what we'll see on the display. And they have a blast zone. Is everything going to take that much time from your side, says the opponent. Really? Well, I'm only 2 minutes behind on the clock, not even, and I'm commentating, so... yeah, maybe we'll take even longer. What do you think about that? 2 conflagrates. 1 shenanigans, 2 nature's claims. 2 more copies of Lightning Axe. I'm going to say yes. Yes to the opponent. And hey, optimism rewarded. We found a Scooz. Ha ha! We found a Scooz. Justice is served. Or is it? They haven't Lightning Axe. We got to remember that. All right, I think we have to say go. So I should have played Shambling Vent, but there's no need to run Scooz out into a known Lightning Axe. Should have played the Shambling Vent there, though. Opponent says, hurry up then, because you are going to be out of time. Well, I will take that under advisement, my friend. So we want to draw another discard spell to clear that Lightning Axe out. We've drawn Fatal Push. All right, so it's a bit of draw go. Eventually, we might be forced into running out the Scooz to compete over whatever they're putting together, but that time is not now. You gotta imagine they probably would have gotten a blue land by now if they had one, just to consider hard casting these Narcomoebas. All right, well, all we can do is draw more lands, so I guess that's what we're doing for now. Blast Zone going to 2 is bad news. Once again, there's just not much we can do about it. Okay, Dark Confidant. I like that draw just fine. It's probably going to force them to crack the Blast Zone or spend the Lightning Axe. Just like any proactive action is welcome as far as I'm concerned, right? Lightning Axe pitching Narcomoeba, sure. Opponent just taking actions in our main phase for no reason, giving us a chance to capitalize on that, but fortunately for them, we don't have any way to punish them, right? So their hand is Nature's Claim to Unknown. I'm attacking with Event. They have another Lightning Axe? Oh my goodness, they do. Well, hey. We find another threat that, like another 2-drop, they have to Blast Zone, and we will have fought through a lot of removal. Hardcast Stinky, sure. Give me something, deck. You gotta give me something. An Inquisition after the fact is extremely tilting. This is pretty tilting, I'm not gonna lie. You know how much better this would have been in any of the earlier turns, but I'm still gonna use it. Prized Amalgam. If we had a way to push the Imp reliably, I think I would run out the Scooz, but as it is, we just kind of have to say go for one more turn, I think. If we draw like a fetch land, I'll probably push the Imp, eat it, eat the Amalgam, kind of take my medicine, losing it to the Blast Zone. This Blast Zone is so obnoxious, though. Those 2 Lightning Axes, man. Oof. Oof. Hey, at least we're winning the race if we crack back with a Shambling Vent. We'll see what they found, though. We've got a ton of really good draws in the deck. Another Stinkweed Imp, okay. A Tarmogoyf. Annoyingly bad is specifically against Imp, but sure. But sure. I don't know how much more punished we could get for our draws relative to theirs, given what's all in our deck, but we're about to find out, right? Attacking with both? What, did they draw a third one? Or are they just definitely blast zoning? Those are the ways in which this makes sense to me. Okay. Well, let's try to crack back with the Goyf. See what happens. They're just letting us crack back with Goyf. Okay. I guess I'm playing Ashiok here. Mill you, exile you. So if they end-step Blast Zone our Goyf, which they don't, I was going to say they could have... We wouldn't have our ability to get Revolt. I mean, we would, but pushing a Stinkweed Imp and then letting them Dredge is obviously not the way. They're still sending both Imps at us. Okay. Don't know what I'm reading them for. I'm not really reading them for anything, to be honest. They play a land. Sure. Path to Exile. It's a reasonable draw. Once again, I'm going to begin by attacking with the Goyf. I think once again I'm supposed to mill them. You know how much they fly through their deck once they get going. And we're just going to say go. And then they go up to 3 with the Blast Zone. Okay, I think this is really good for us. I think this is really, really good for us. Especially if they do it this turn before we get to untap with Ashiok, which does make sense. And that's one of the reasons we were milling a little bit aggressively, pressures them more into this. And to be fair, they are extremely flooded, right? They're fetching into the Ashiok. Not how that works. Not profitably anyway, unless they just wanted to, like a card in the yard for Life from the Loam or something, but... Ashiok blows out yet another fetch land. This happens a lot more than it should. But these War Planeswalkers, it's hard to play around their passives. Like, it's part of why they're kind of unpopular design-wise, I think. And Blast Zone on 3 with these Imps, like... I mean, in a way it makes sense. Now they're both coming at Ashiok. I think I'm going to path one. Okay, what's this last card in the opponent's hand? That's what I've been wondering about. Or are they just blast zoning now? Conflagrate Ashiok for 2. You got it. So now we can push the other imp, untap, eat it with the use that we've been slow rolling for virtually the entire game. That's the concession. All right, we did it. We did it. We did it. We did it. That was easier on the play, for sure. But hey, we mulliganed to a 2-spell 6, and we beat their 7. Scooz was a really good draw. But our draws didn't really line up all that well overall, right? Now, let's revise our plan maybe a little bit on the draw. I'm less high on Collective Brutality on the draw. That's a change I like to make. What can come in, like, you know, EE is playable, I guess. The Sword is playable. I could see a trophy or two, like hitting Blast Zone seems okay. You could see just like a sticky board presence card like Gideon or Souls. Dark Confidants get worse on the play as well. Or on the draw as well. However, with only 2 of them, and in the shell of the rest of our deck, I think I'm leaving both in. So why don't we just find exactly 1 more card to play? I think I'm just going to play a cheeky 1 of Trophy. Supplemental removal if we've got something to clean up after it with. Hitting Blast Zone, whatever. Seems okay. All right, let's hope for a deadly 7. A deadly 7. Opponent will mulligan. We can keep this one. It's not deadly, but it's pretty good. Got a couple cheap removal spells. Got a couple pieces of 3-mana Graveyard Hate. We got a Tarmogoyf. Got 2 lands. It's okay. And with the opponent mulling, you hope they don't just completely run us over. They've got Thoughtseize, okay. Effect Shock, Thoughtseize. Well, our hand is fairly Thoughtseize-proof. They take Ashiok. We've got enough redundancy to weather a Thoughtseize. I'm so much happier to see Thoughtseize than Shriekhorn. But it is kind of nice for the opponent to take away hate pieces and also to have perfect information, and also to have a Shriekhorn anyway. So that kind of sucks. That really sucks, actually. Another Fatal Push. Not really what we're after. Still no 3rd land. Real sucky. Think we need Temple Garden here. I think I'm just jamming Goyf. There might be an argument for Stoneforge Mystic, but she seems really clunky right now. They also don't know about her. But clearly we just obviously want the 3rd land to start operating with Kaya here. Opponent fetching on their end step to get Bloodghast back. I'm not a Dredge expert, but I don't think it's correct. Maybe they'll say no to the trigger here. Or maybe they have some other reason for doing this. Oh, they just blew themselves out with a Lightning Axe, pitching the Narcomoeba. I was just going to say, I don't think it's correct. Goyf survived Lightning Axe is basically my point there. I don't think it's correct for them to get Bloodghast on the end step, because if they untap, and then they hit like an Amalgam off the Shriekhorn, then they can fetch and get the Bloodghast back when they're getting more value out of it. So I think that was a misplay, but I know the Lightning Axe doming the Goyf that survives off of it was a misplay, and they're down to 12. They're still in it, though, because their progression's really good. They just loamed back a bunch of fetch lands. Okay, Goyf is a 5/6. They're already down to 12. We can play Stoneforge Mystic and Fatal Push. Or we can play Kaya, exiling Shriekhorn. And then Kaya will die on the crackback. from Bloodghast. I think we're playing Stoneforge Mystic. Just trying to win the race at this point. Want to fade a Blast Zone, obviously. Okay, opponent fetching down to 11 to get a basic mountain before damage. Cycling a Forgotten Cave. Okay. They get an Amalgam off of that Dredge. I'm actually going to diversify with Kaya. We can exile Amalgam and Life from the Loam now, which is pretty good. Now that they did it that way. We're gaining life. We're disrupting, blah, blah, blah. Amalgam, Life from the Loam. And now Kaya does not die in the crackback. So I still think there is actually a lot of incentive to just represent lethal with putting Stoneforge Mystic on the field, but, well, their Shriekhorn activation just made Goyf lethal anyway. So you gotta imagine we're about to kill them. You gotta hope we're about to kill them. We got 3 removal spells in hand, and their only creature right now can't block. Cycle Forgotten Cave. No Creeping Shield to stay alive. Seems like the concession to me. Well, is everything going to take that much time from your side? Well, you know, yes. Yes, it is, and we get the win. We're only a minute behind on the clock. We probably have more decisions to make than them on average. Some of their sequencing can be more complicated, but we have more decision points. We're the mid-range deck. They're the kind of linear combo deck. And I'm live commentating, so give me a break. You know, if it's like 10-minute gap, then sure. But anyway, that one felt good. Those were 3 good close games. The games against Dredge often are when you're on BGX. It's one of the more interesting kind of... there's an interesting variety in terms of how they can shake out. Alright, we are on the play. And I don't think we can keep this one. We gotta send it back. Alright, we send it back. This one's fine. I think the balanced thing to do is probably to bottom one of the fetch lands, keep it basic. Striking a balance between our life total and other things. You know, you don't know what you're up against, right? And we do have a Bob, so our life total could be an issue. And we're against Burn, so the premonition is there. Oh, this is a Seal of Fire Burn version. Interesting. Okay, so they don't have any creatures. Our hand is terrible against this, though. Absolutely terrible. I guess we're just taking Lightning Bolt, but yeah, we need to draw a Tarmogoyf right away to have a decent shot. That's a really scary hand against ours. If only we were aggressive enough to punish them for keeping a double canopy land hand. What if I was on Prowess right now? Then what? Okay. Riftbolt has been suspended. We've drawn Batterskull. Too bad that takes an age to cast, but if we can keep making land drops, maybe that steals the game for us. We got no choice here but to play out the Bob, though. It kind of gives the opponent a little bit of a dilemma, you know, like... Did they just get it over with and point it at the Bob? Well, probably not. And if they don't, we could just get lucky. We could just get lucky with Bob. And I'm okay with that. Okay, they do take care of him with Seal of Fire. So hey, Bob, doing something. Skewer the critics. We're at 14. We found a Goyf. Nice. Opponent with the third land, and hey, now that maybe the Goyf can punish them for all this pain, right? Searing Blaze. Ah. Okay. So their 2 unknowns have been Searing Blaze and another 1-drop burn spell. That's pretty much just max punishing, but what are you going to do? Alright, gotta draw another Goyf. Okay, Skoos is good. Skoos is pretty good. Guess we have to eat our own Bob. And I guess we should do it before Skullcrack is online. And then they have to draw something to kill the Skoos right now to punish us. They've drawn Mountain, so they're going to get to Cantrip. But Skullcrack can't kill a Skoos. Neither does Eidolon. We've drawn QB, huh? Alright, well, we're going to eat our Goyf, get to 4. And they're dead in a few short hits. So they're dead in 3 hits if they don't block here. And I don't think they will. Because that's just more food for the Skoos and a free kill. And I think they might be dead... Not sure. I wish we had a 4th land right now. With uncastables in hand and with Path being a reactive card that kind of gets worse, maybe as the game goes on against this Eidolon, I think we clearly have to race. So let's attack. They're not blocking. Okay, the race is on. Okay, their main phasing is Seal of Fire, which is good for us. They're taking damage off that Eidolon, kind of unnecessarily. Like, I think if they're going to attack, they should have attacked first. But maybe, yeah, they don't feel able to attack. Alright, so the Eidolon is kind of just locking them out now, I think. They might use it as a blocker, but I think that's fine. We'll just hold our path. Or they're gonna combo kill with Seal of Fire. So maybe we should have thought about that more. But like just putting our souls down I think is pretty good here. Yeah, I think we're still attacking, forcing them to throw away their Eidolon and their Seal of Fire. And maybe they will miss sequence here, but you kinda doubt it. Yeah, I think this is fine. Like, we draw an untapped land, they're dead on board. We don't, they're dead in 2 hits, and we get to make blockers. That's the game. Alright, cool. Nice to take game 1 against Burn. I don't know what else to expect besides Seal of Fire. Like, I don't know what that replaces and why. Maybe I should look up a list real quick. I mean, I'm sure the sideboarding is pretty much the same. But let's at least just do some preliminary sideboarding and then we'll look some stuff up after. We don't have that much to do. We only have 1 Brutality. Most of the other cards are kind of marginal. And Bobs and Thought Seizes have to come out. But Our main deck, you know, obviously a Batterskull. A Batterskull Stoneforge deck is going to be at least decent in those ways against burn. But I don't know how good our configuration is overall. So let's try to find a Seal of Fire list. I know I've seen them in 5-0 dumps, but I've never looked that closely at them. I think I've seen them kind of like marked as Prowess and then looked at them and they were not actually Prowess decks. So I said, huh, Seal of Fire is a cool card, but that's weird, and I don't know what that is, and I never looked that closely. I'm seeing no Seal of Fire results for Modern on Goldfish, so I am going to look here on MTG Top 8 real quick. Seal of Fire in the main deck, in the Modern format, hit search. Jund is the top one. Okay, here's a red deck wins. Okay, wow, this is not what we're against. That's like a mono-red mid-range deck. Okay, let's try another one. I should just consider this burn. Yeah, okay. Well, maybe this is it. Seeing like one of Bone Crusher Giant. This just might be a little bit more mid-rangey. Let's just sideboard like it's burn. So, I guess we're leaving in all 3 pieces of equipment. Brutality has to come in. Kaya has to come in. I think EE has to come in, and then would we rather play 1 Gideon over 1 Plague Engineer? I think I actually would. I think the answer to that is actually yes. So I'm going to run like this. Alternatively, we could play like a Plague Man over a Tracker. But I think on the draw, I like the beefier value stuff a little bit more. Maybe when we see a little bit more, maybe on the play. Who knows? But, you know, I'm seeing some Bone Crusher Giants in the couple Seal of Fire lists that I've noticed, so I want to be prepared to grind that little bit more. And I think it's kind of a wash between Plague Man and some other stuff, too. I don't think Plague Man is that good against Burn or Prowess. I think it's kind of best of better than bad cards is its role. We have to mulligan again. Hey, we did win that one on a mulligan as well. Let's remember that. Yeah, I don't think we can risk this keep of another 1-lander. Send it back. Okay, this is a 2-lander. It's a fine one. There's a lot that's unexciting about it. Ooh, I was gonna... Yeah, we'll put Batterskull back. That makes the hand more exciting. What do they have? A Leyline of Combustion. Oh my goodness. Seems really hard to beat, unless we just run away with the game with Stoneforge Mystic, but... Whenever you and or at least 1 permanent you control becomes a target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, Leyline of Combustion deals 2. Well, we're gonna take 5 here to fetch Shock Thoughtseize, I think. Maybe we should just get Basic Swamp. Or fetch Shock Inquisition, but yeah, we're just gonna get Basic Swamp here. Could come back to bite us. We could have to operate more than we'd like to off of clearing based on this, but... Man, Leyline of Combustion is some brutal tech. They'll bolt us in response, and then we will see a hand of Lava Spike, Skewer the Critic, Skullcrack, and they have only 1 land. Well... Taking away Skewer is the way to, like, virtually guarantee a win with Stoneforge Mystic unless they find another thing to do, but it's also uncastable right now. And it also might be uncastable if we just take Lava Spike. So I'm just going to take Lava Spike. It's the only independently castable card in their hand. We are already at 14. We're going to be taking a lot of pain, and they just drew another Lava Spike anyway. Alright. Okay, time to just play out our SFM off of the pain land and see how far it gets us. They need to find an answer, and they need to find one right now. And they have with Riftbolt, but it's a little too late to be ideal. We've drawn Basic Forest. I guess we're just going to say go. Our mana's still very awkward. So where do they go with the Rift Bolt? Upstairs. Makes sense. Okay, they're just skewering us, so in response... I mean, we don't have to do it in response, but this is clearly our play for the turn. We put in the skull. And we have drawn a Scooze, eh? I should have thought more before attacking. It might have been better to play QB. Didn't really even give it any thought. And specifically because of our... the fact that this is a Verdant Catacombs, I think it actually would have been better to play QB. Yikes. I think I just made a mistake there. Don't think it should matter. I guess we just play Scooze anyway and say go. This is still pretty good. Right? But... like, there's a lot of merit to staying at 7-2 and not fetching anyway. So, whatever. And they play Goblin Guide. No big deal. I'm not going to fetch yet. Sword of Fire and Ice. Well, that seems good. We're taking a lot of damage here to Fection to activate, but gaining 6 life here is pretty much worth it, wouldn't you say? Guess we attack with Scooze too. Opponent trading. Oh, I got a crier. I got a crier. Hold on, my friends. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about this. Clearly gonna have to edit. Don't think they have an out here. So we just attack. Alright, cool. Cool. Apologies to the opponent for taking the time there. I should not be watching the kids right now, but I kind of am. Something came up. And we're just going to try to muddle through. But we have won, and I will return for round 4, editing out the dead spaces. So sorry, my apologies, Demi and Desposito, if you ever see this. Sorry to hold you up there at the very end. Had a crier, had the toddler thing to take care of, but hey, we're coming back, my friends. We are 2-1 in this league, and I will see you for round 4. Okay, guys, we are back. I apologize for the mess that was that league. Or, excuse me, that league. I hope the whole league's not a mess. That game, round 3, game 2, we were... my wife stepped out quickly for a walk, assuring me that the girls were fast asleep, but, as you heard, that changed very quickly, so this is just what happens sometimes, but... So, sorry if I was playing a little bit loose there. I was running back and forth. His hand's got some issues, including this Temple Garden that could perhaps be a second Overgrown too. Maybe this is our second Garden and we're denied double black because of that. In any case, I guess it's a keep, but it's a pretty weak hand on the draw. But, okay, we're against Mono Red Prowess, and hey, Fatal Push is a nice draw. Okay, well... let's see what they've got. Okay, before blocks, we definitely want to push here so they don't get light up the stage. Ooh, actually, you know what? We should have fetched on our turn. Should have fetched on our turn, actually, to play around light up the stage. I'm still not fully back into concentration mode yet. Yeah, ooh, okay. If I hadn't just been up and down and left and right with the kids, I would have done that. My bad, guys. Well, that is annoying, but we do have a 4/5 Tarmogoyf coming down on curve, which is pretty good. However, it's a little bit bad against their Lava Dart. They can dart the Goyf down to a 3/4, then Soul Scar is a 2/3, and if they have one other spell, they can cleanly beat the Goyf in combat, and even if they don't have that, they can flash back dart. So to that end, I'm actually think I'm going to play the Skoos. On the other hand, Goyf does kind of... Yeah, I think I'm going to play the Skoos, though. They're clearly going to go Swifty, dart the Skoos, finish it off somehow, whether it be third land, and then, like, our Goyf can come down when the dust is settled. Often you do the reverse. Often you try to clean up with the Skoos after you trade with a Tarmogoyf, but specifically against a Lava Dart and Soulscar Mage is where I'm less excited to do that. Yeah. Goyf hold up path, follow up with Liliana's pretty good. I think our life total is not quite free, but I did consider holding up Verdant Catacombs, because it does not quite telegraph Path to Exile so heavily. However, I don't think that's a realistic thing for us to do. So one step, we are going to Path the Soulscar. This is going to give them their 5th land, and that could be what they're waiting for. Maybe they have a Bedlam Reveler in hand, but I don't think we can really play around it. And having drawn Batterskull, a pretty good draw, we're definitely just playing Liliana and edicting the Swifty. Because we need that 5th land to cast the Skull, right? So we obviously hope they just have lands instead of Bedlam Reveler, but they might well have a Bedlam Reveler. Okay, opponent bolting us. That probably means a Rev. And playing a land. Yep. Oh, well, that was a really good turn. It looked like if they had their Rev, they might be pitching 2 other cards. Instead, it's totally free. And they have Soulscar. Yikes. Yikes. Major yikes. Okay, well, we tick up. We're going to lose this Shambling Vent. And we kind of got to sit behind the Goyf and the Skull. And if they have a couple heaters in hand and off the top, well, we're in trouble still. Crash Through seems like a really good place to start. It's a total free roll when their life total's that high, as is this, or their land count is this high, as is that Bedlam, or that Mishra's Bauble. Wow, I can't talk anymore. Get up from the computer for 1 minute, and you can't talk any longer. So they've darted us from the graveyard, then they've lit it up into Soulscar and Lightning Bolt. And they're just whittling down the germ here. Soulscar Mage, very, very powerful. Its ability has made us, has really punished us, and they're attacking for 16. We're dead. Right, they're both at us. We're very, very dead. Well, they couldn't really have too much of a better draw off the top there following that Bedlam Reveler. I don't regret our lines of like pathing the Swifty, even though we knew it might get them to Reveler, in edicting with Lily. I think all that was correct. What I do regret, and again, if I had not just been distracted immediately prior to this, I would have done it, was Should have fetched on our turn so as not to turn up light at the stage. Would have slowed them down. Who knows? Who knows? But I think the matchup here is fine. It's an interesting one. It's kind of a fun one. I love the deck myself. Like, as a player of it myself, I never hate to see it. I think Ashiok, Plague Engineer are not that good. I think people overrate both of these cards. I think they could play a role. But honestly, I am a little bit higher on stuff like Gideon and Nile Spellbomb that like are efficient, beefy cards, like in the case of Gideon or in the case of Spellbomb. They attack an important resource at resource parity because they can grind really, really well. So what I'm going to do is take out one Thoughtseize, possibly another, but possibly not. I like to leave in one sometimes, but Bob is very bad. Once again, all the equipment seems fine, but is it too clunky? Should we be cutting like Sinew and Steel here? They don't play artifacts or planeswalkers that matter, like they play Mishra's Bauble, but that doesn't matter for the purposes of our equipment. So we could put that over there. I guess Lingering Souls is one of our worst threats overall. Brutality, Spellbombs, EE, Kaya all have to come in, as far as I would say. Everything else in our deck is looking pretty good. I am going to cut a sword. I think I am going to cut these Lingering Souls. I think I'll cut the Thoughtseize as well, just because we are bringing in a good amount of graveyard hit, and we're on the play. Let's play a Gideon. I almost want to play this Tracker. Is that bad? That might be kind of bad. I'm gonna play the Thoughtseize even though we're on the play. Everything else seems too medium to me, including Ashiok. Alright, we've got a lot to do to beat Mono Red Prowess both post-side games. But it is doable for sure. Our mana's super painful, but the hand's really good. It's a keep. Light up the stage, Swifty, Bolt, and Bedlam Reveler, though. But we have a Spellbomb. Take the light up. Another Inquisition is a nice draw. That's a nice draw. They have Abrade Lightning Bolts. I'm just going to take the Bolt. But Abrade is certainly something we have to be aware of. Once again, we actually could and perhaps should have pushed on our turns. I forgot about paying the life for silent clearing. Like, I didn't forget about it in the context of our overall progression, but it does, once again, run the risk of turning on light up. But they didn't have it. Okay. Tarmogoyf, I think that is our play. So far, we are just getting absolutely wrecked by our lands. We haven't drawn a third one, which is pretty bad, but overall the draws have been fine. Like, the spells are good. The lands are not. Bone Crusher Giant is stomping, followed by a Wild Slash. Well, those were two pretty good draws. Okay, we draw an uncastable, so it is time to play and crack the Spellbomb, I think. We gotta find that third land. And now is a fine time to hit them. Set them pretty far back. And we have hit the third land. Cool. It's another one that's a bit painful. But if they go Bone Crusher here, we get to just play Liliana and Edict it, which is pretty good. Means we're not going to take 2 off of the Bone Crusher's ability. What land do we want here? I guess Temple Garden. EE. Alright. Whatever. We're slowly but surely, like, just taking a ton of damage from our lands, and we have not been able to threaten their life total whatsoever. We got a lot of other good things going for us, but that is what's bad. They will Lava Spike Liliana, and we'll draw another one. Seems like a good draw to me. What are we pitching here? Probably, I mean, there's an argument for any of them. I guess it's just going to be Trophy, but you could keep Trophy to hit the Sunbait Canyon if they tap out. You could keep EE because it comes down around, under the Lily. We can just set it to 1 next turn. But they can Abrade it, but they'll probably pitch Abrade here. So I think I'm going to pitch Trophy, planning on them pitching Abrade. Okay. That worked. They have 2 cards in the yard. And they're still pretty far away from the Reveler for now. 2 cards that matter for Reveler in the yard, I should say. My speech has become imprecise ever since I got up. We draw the 3rd Liliana in a row. This one we will pitch to her sister on the field. We get a Rev out of their hand. That probably means they have another one. I'll run out this EE on 1 and say go. They play Islet. Still not enough to cast the Rev, so I don't know anymore if I'm reading them for the Rev. I think we're just untapping. Tarmogoyf. Alright, well, time to find out. Tick up. Just gonna crack an Islet in response, maybe, to protect a Rev, or they're bolting Liliana. Okay, well that makes sense. So we pick our path, we play a Goyf. We say go, go, go. And it's an outcome that's frankly fine with me. Just gotta fade really good top decks from the opponent now. They top deck Crash Through. Oh no, you gotta be kidding me. They top deck Crash into a Bedlam Reveler. You couldn't make it up. That's ridiculous. That's frankly ridiculous. And a land Lightning Bolt to take care of our Liliana. Well, when they have everything, they do have everything sometimes. That's very unlucky. But we do have a 6/7 Goyf bashing, and we did draw a playable card in the form of Skoos. I'm just going to play it and eat the Bone Crusher immediately, playing around Wild Slash. They open up on another Crash Through. Then crack an Islet. Then crack a Canyon. Okay. Then another Crash Through, sure. They cannot afford to attack, though. Or can they? What? They're attacking? So their last card must be a way to kill Skoos right now. Right? That's the only explanation? I think we were supposed to make him do it, though. Okay. Or it was a bluff attack, because they concede. Fair enough. Well, that was an ugly win, but a win nevertheless. Hey, Prowess is about winning the value game, man. When it's Prowess versus midrange, it's about who wins the value game. We operated on 3 mana the entire game. We shocked in the first one. The second one was a pain land, a canopy land, and the third one we had to fetch for. So we took a ton of damage from our lands. Didn't matter because we won the value game. Not that it didn't matter. Like, it was a factor, but it was not the decisive factor. Anyway, back to the drawing board, going to be on the draw. We've already got our one Thought Season. I don't like the second. I guess our 4-drops get a little bit worse on the draw, maybe, but like the stuff that could come in for them, I just don't really believe in. I think Gideon and QB are better than Souls, Plagueman, Tracker, Ashiok. And the other stuff is unplayable, so the only thing we could consider is getting the third piece of equipment back in, but I don't think that's necessary. Like, they have Abrades. You could maybe say we're supposed to try to fight through Abrades with more pro-red, like, really good cards, but like, Stoneforge is clunky against a deck full of Wild Slashes and Lava Darts and Lightning Bolts and so on and so forth. And Abrade to kill SFM herself, for that matter, right? So I like where we're at. OP keeping 7. Our hand's okay. I think it's might be a little bit worse than it looks, but it's definitely still a keep. It would be better on the play. And it could still definitely get us there. Like, it's a solid hand. It's a solid hand. Yeah, the turn 1 creature is what we wanted to fade. Rather have a kill spell than this Inquisition right now, but Inquisition's still great. Double Monomorphos light up the stage. Wow. You know, leaving them the light up is actually reasonable because they can't freely go Monomorphos, and then guarantee they'll have like a 1-drop to hit the light up, but we still gotta just take the 2 for 1. But that's a scary hand. That's a scary hand on the play. We want to draw just like a few untapped painless lands in a row. Like Basic Plains would be a great draw here. I'd take any untapped land, mostly, but we really probably have to Spellbomb this upcoming turn. Jeez, they found 2 creatures. Yeah, so we're pretty punished for that take. Okay, we found an untapped land. So we can Brutality. And there's only 1 unknown in hand. So we don't have to fully escalate if we don't think it's correct. We're definitely going to kill Soulscar Mage here. Definitely going to drain for 2. And I think that might be all I do. Pitch in the tracker. You could argue that it's better to check their hand and hope we're rewarded for it, but I think the risk of whiffing there was too high. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, they have Swifty Bolt. This is a disaster. They have a real nut draw they're putting together. They still can't cast Rev, though. So we just have to hope they brick this turn. And that our Stoneforge Mystic wins us the game. Get Fire and Ice. I already got Batterskull in hand, obviously. They didn't brick, they found Crash Through. That should probably be game. So if they have nothing here, we go to 1. Or we can go to 3. I don't think blocking makes sense. Alright, well, we're at 1. Does Batterskull potentially steal us the game? I kinda doubt it. But we'll find out. We're dead to any burn. Any burn at all. Monomorphose into Bedlam Reveler. Yay. What a scary draw. What a scary draw that was. It was just too much. We couldn't compete on every axis. They had the value and the aggression. And our progression was too clunky. Well, I mean, if they have nothing in hand, this is going to accomplish something, I guess. Alright, we survive and we kill the SSM. And then they have a light up the stage. Sure. Into Lava Dart Mountain. We draw Thoughtseize. Yeah, that's not quite it. Still no 4th land. So we cannot even suit up with the Sword of Fire and Ice. Feels bad, man. Feels bad, man. Well, let's go for the Germ Beats, gain a little life. Then I guess we should be playing Spell Bomb. Cracking it to shut off another Reveler and hoping they just have bricks everywhere we turn. And we find a fetch land. All right, over to you. There's the mountain. They've got Lava Dart. Do they have anything else? They have another Swifty. Okay, so let's assume they only have Lava Dart, Lava Dart. We need to go to blocks first. I guess we have to chump with Stoneforge and try to get a kill with the Germ. Okay, so we're at least forcing them to point something at the board. But we're down to 2. I don't think we're going to get there, guys. What about you? Let's go to 1. Let's fetch. Kaya. Dead on board. Well, those were good games. Their progression was so nutty. It really was. Like, drawing all of those Soul Scars and Swifties early was insane. That was kind of the one thing we couldn't keep up with. Like, we had a shot at keeping up with their opening hand despite our disadvantages of the painful mana and being on the draw. And we had the Bedlam Reveler potentially delayed with our Spell Bomb if we could afford to do it early enough, but all of those creatures just put so much pressure on us and just taxed our resources too much. They had really good finds off of the first 2 Monomorphosi, and that takes me back to that decision. Like, I think taking a Monomorphose is still loose when they have 2 over the light up the stage, but might have been the higher risk, high reward line that could, in theory, have broken a little bit better for us, but I kind of doubt it. So anyway, we're seeing some really... round 1 was rough, but we're seeing some really good gameplay, I think. I'm having fun. Hope you guys are all having fun as well, and we are 2-2. Not bad. Not bad considering round 1 was kind of an auto loss, and we are playing for that Cached League. Yeah, so let me know what you guys think. You know, if you've tried to run a list similar to this without Fulminator Mage, a BGX list without any kind of Stone Rain effect. To me, that's still kind of like the thing I can't get over, but I don't want to shut myself off to the idea of it. Like, in the past, I actually did make a theory video saying, is it time to play without Fulminator? But that was a different era of Modern, to be fair. But what I'm trying to say is it's something that we should not be afraid to question, but right now I'm not quite seeing it. But you guys let me know, right? In any case, here we go. Into round number 5. On the play, with another... We've had a lot of hands that just don't have, like, discard, frankly. That's, like, the one thing we're missing, but this is a fine keep on the play. It's not one we mulligan, but it's one that we really wish just had an Inquisition or a Thoughtseize in place of any other card in the hand, and it would be quite good. And I think we're going to wish we had it because we are against humans, Cavern naming human, but no turn 1 play, thankfully. Giving us a bit of a reprieve, but we just draw land, so we fail to capitalize. Just gotta hit interaction, like, starting next turn, right? Starting next turn, we gotta hit an interaction. Just playing creatures one at a time without any interaction to back them up is a good way to get wrecked by humans. But hey, we have dodged big mana after that first round, so I'm happy. Thalia, Guardian of Thraben. Ooh, we draw Sword of Fire and Ice. That's an awkward draw. Specifically against Thalia, I'd actually be kind of cool with it if they didn't go Thalia. So we are just playing, like, really embarrassing threats on curve and doing nothing else right now. But we're a deck full of interaction. We can draw it. But given their turn 1 do nothing, turn 2 Thalia, they've probably got like a Reflector Mage lined up here, which would be pretty rough. Or a Mantis Rider, which is definitely rough in its own way, just because this is like one of the only times I have 2 BGX creatures on the field and neither can block a Thalia. It's pretty rough, but that's where we're at. We're going to draw interaction this turn. Good cheap interaction. Going to get us going. Stoneforge Mystic. Oh my goodness. Well, now what? Now what are we supposed to do? I'm offer the trade with Tracker and Mantis Rider. I was going to say, I doubt they take it. We are, in fact, going to play Stoneforge Mystic, and just, like, hoping they don't have an answer to a Batterskull is probably the best way for us to win this game. I actually think bluffing here is pretty good. Like, bluffing a Fatal Push is really interesting. It's going to make them think twice, maybe before attacking with Thalia, for example, or playing a Reflector Mage, something like this. I think it's better than playing another 0-1 Goy for, like, main phasing a Clue or something like that. Yeah, another Mantis Rider? Oh boy. Okay, our bluff does work to ward off the Thalia, so that is something. Okay, so even though we're taking pain to do this and we could crack the clearing painlessly, we're so mana taxed by the Thalia we have to just crack a Clue this way. Path to Exile. Could be a good draw. Yeah, so we're just in survival mode. To that end, I think we stay back with Tracker. Yeah, we're just going to play it cautious for one turn. But our play here is obviously to flash in a Batterskull and Path of Mantis Rider. Is this a Thalia's Lieutenant? Wizard creature spells. Yeah, I think it's a Lieutenant. And they tapped incorrectly. Yep. That is scary. Oh, wow, another one? It's hard to imagine something worse than that right now. Because, like, even a Reflector Mage, it was an awkward tension for them. You know, how to sequence and all that, but just double Lieutenant, yeah, seems really good. And they will send in the Thalia. Man, the double Lieutenant making us unable to get life gain off of Batterskull. That is rough. Path in the Rider. Thalia is so annoying. I'm thinking about a double block here. But it's probably better to just chump with Goyf and hope we draw a removal for that Mantis Rider. We drew Assassin's Trophy. Okay. So one option here is to go to 1 to equip with Fire and Ice, the Germ with Fire and Ice. We're kind of all in on that. But I guess we're kind of all in on that if we don't anyway, right? Like, if we just sit back behind Assassin's Trophy and they have a way to, like, Reflector Mage the Germ or something, that's pretty bad too. So are we supposed to just suit up? We'll go to 1 and then we'll go to 7. And then we have 3 blockers. So we'd be dead to another Mantis Rider, but we're dead to a lot of stuff, including Reflector and Deputy, kind of no matter how we sequence. So, yeah, I mean, we're down to 2. So even if we do take care of the Rider to play around that, it can't be correct. Let's just suit up and make them beat it, right? Suppose they chump with a smaller Lieutenant here. Okay. You can see if we had, like, literally one piece of early interaction, like a Path or an Inquisition, or excuse me, a Push or an Inquisition, or a Decay, I think we'd be in an alright spot. Now, granted, the humans deck can top deck really well. They've got a couple canopies, so it's not like we definitely win. Okay, Phantasmal Image. Yeah, this is a card that... Ooh, yeah, I was going to say we couldn't beat no matter what, but maybe if they just main phased it like this, we could beat it by trophying the rider in response, but even then I kind of doubt it. They probably, for one thing, wouldn't have had to main phase it. And for another thing, they had a Reflector anyway, so there's literally nothing they don't have. I don't think there's any sequence where we could beat this. Like, it seems like we were just kind of backed into a corner by their curve out no matter what we did. Opponent makes the correct attack, and that's going to be the game. Okay, well, I'm happy to be playing matchups like this instead of big mana, but, you know, I think we got unlucky to drop Prowess game 1. I think we got unlucky here to drop this game 1, but, you know, maybe that was an argument for mulling our opening hand. But I think if it's on the play, it's a justifiable keep. So, do we like Kaya here? A little slow, but it definitely does some stuff. EE is great. Plague Man is great. Brutality we will play. I suspect we'll play Gideon as well. Could see playing a Lingering Souls. I don't know how good that is compared to other options. We will cut Thought Seizes. Sinew and Steel to kill Ether Vial is kind of cute, but it doesn't seem like the best matchup for it. The protection colors aren't that relevant. It's kind of clunky. And we're probably going to be like hard up for slots, like exactly what to cut, because we've got a lot of really good cards to come in, and not a great deal of cards to come out that I can tell. Let's take our time on this one, because it is the last game of the league after all. I have not quite played enough Abzan to have like a really good sense of where my marginal threats are positioned in a matchup. Like, how do we rate Tracker versus Lingering Souls here against the humans deck? I guess Tracker is kind of worse. Maybe we cut Tracker. Let's cut Tracker, cut Sword. Let's get in the must plays, which would be Plague Man, EE. Like Brutality well enough. Gideon and Kaya. Gideon and Kaya. I think I rate Gideon a little bit more highly, and that would be card number 61 anyway. If we take him to game 3, I'll be cutting maybe a Bob or 2 on the draw, but I want to leave them in on the play. Let's just cut 1 Lily Veil. I think leaving in 4 on the play is fine, but playing 3 on the play is also fine. And maybe the more defensive Kaya will be better on the draw. I like it. I'm playing it. Let's get him. Let's get him. This is another 2+ hour league. That's just all I play lately. They're all grind fests. They're all like going, you know, mostly to game 3 and stuff like that. And it's cool, you know, like I've said before. When people are stuck at home self-isolating, now's the time to be playing lots of really long leagues, right? Solid hand. We'll keep it. Push into Bob is probably going to be the line. Scoos is a nice follow-up as well. Playing out Blooming Marsh does represent push a lot harder than playing Fetch Land would, but I'm still going to do it. If they have a 1-drop, they're not going to not run it out, you know what I mean? Case in point. I'll push it. Hey, we drew another push. Cool. The only question is what land to fetch, or maybe just to play out our swamp. We want to get as much green as possible for Scoos, and we also want to get white online at some point, and we want it all to be as painless as possible. I guess for now I'm just playing swamp. but it's worth thinking about. We can go a few different ways because we can get basic planes off of the heath. Real glad we drew another push, though. Our position is quite good. Opponent going Ziggurat into double champion. Well. The floor of our turn is push one of them, play the Skoos. Okay, we drew Stoneforge Mystic. So I'm just going to get a basic planes. Now we're on the SFM plan. I'm going to sit back with Bob because, you know, like blocking with him is fine if it comes to that. What are we getting here? Probably just Batterskull, making them have a way to deal with our Stoneforge Mystic. And just playing as defensively as possible. Like, trading Bob for a champion right now is fine. But, like, leaving him around is also fine, because the more bodies on field for equipment, the better. And obviously he's drawing us 2 cards per turn, so... Phantasmal Image, eh? Of Dark Confidant, sure. So, I think we are trading and then pushing, and then edicting. It's going to slow up our Batterskull by a turn, but it's going to take care of their entire board. The only risk is that they have yet another 1-drop to play, but surely they would have run that out, right? Nice. Good job, Bob. We've drawn Godless Shrine. Not really necessary. Yeah, I think the responsible thing to do is kill their Dark Confidant before they get to draw off him. Client lag, or did the opponent just randomly concede? The opponent just randomly conceded. Alright, I accept. They're looking to get through the match quickly. Good enough for me. Okay, cool. So we're taking him to game 3. Liliana could go down to 2 on the draw. Dark Confidants could come out on the draw as well. But we only play 2, you know, leaving in both is certainly fine. I don't think, like, the 3rd Lingering Souls is appreciably better than anything, even the stuff that might come out. I guess I'm just going to play Kaya. Like, killing a 1-drop with Kaya is fine. If you're ahead, she snowballs. Kaya in, 1 Bob out. I think that's the only change I'm making. I guess we're still playing 3 Liliana on the draw. Leverage 1 Dark Confidant. Okay. Okay. Opponent keeping 7. Our hand's fine. I've seen better. It's a lot of 1-for-1s and an inefficient one with trophy, but we're not going to throw back the functional Fatal Push hand, for sure. Would love to have seen them lead on a basic land, right? Make our trophy no downside, that's what we need. Once again, they lead, though, on a Noble Hierarch, and we will once again push her. Drawing the 4th land is reasonable. We were operating, you know, without necessary insurance that we'd get QB online, and now we will. So QB a very good card against humans. They do have ways to kind of answer it temporarily, or they can, of course, just have a dismember, right? Kitesail freebooter, so I guess down goes our trophy. That makes our hand a lot worse. We gotta find a 2-drop. Or a 1-drop to play right now. Otherwise, we do run the risk of getting tempoed out. Any kind of kill spell or action, instead we draw a freaking land. Oof. Okay. Okay. Want to fade a Mantis Rider right now because the one thing we have going for us is that their clock isn't great. We want to fade either Rider or, like, land champion lieutenant. Champion. Mm-hmm. Champion. Uh-huh. Exactly what we didn't want to see. It's alright. We still got a lot of really good draws. Oh, they didn't attack with freebooter. I guess that was a misclick. We save 1 point of damage. Maybe it'll be the difference maker. Who knows? Who knows? I'm getting myself a Temple Garden. Come on, action. Stoneforge Mystic. It might be better to play Lingering Souls. I'm going to play SFM, but it might be better to play Souls. It really might be. But it's giving the opponent like a must-answer permanent. That's why we're doing it. I guess we'll also play the fetch land because it's better to play it here, but it does give them perfect info. If they've been tracking our hand, they know every card in it. So we gotta fade a lot. We gotta fade them just having a lieutenant. We gotta fade them having a 3rd land into a bounce effect. Just a lieutenant. Oh my god. Just the dummy beats are gonna get us when we have an entire deck full of so many kill spells and we just can't draw them sometimes, man. Just can't draw them. This is outrageous. Not blocking. Because I'm still going to try to draw like a kill spell here and then have Batter Skull plus interaction. Come on, deck. Come on, deck. You can do it. You can do it. Lingering Souls, dude. Why are we just falling apart at the end of the league here? Alright, well, they haven't hit the 3rd land yet, so I think we have to play QB. What a disaster. You know, if they just kind of brick a little bit, we could still be in it, right? But might as well attack with SFM. We're not chumping with her, are we? I guess there is a world in which we can chump with her, and it makes sense because we can hardcast Batter Skull. Yeah, sure, let's not attack. Ooh, man, oh man. Well, against an aggressively slanted humans progression, and when you don't draw any kill spells beyond the one you kept in your opener. Oh no, the 3rd land! Oh no. Oh no, whatever they have, it's going to be really good. You know it's either Reflector Mage or Mantis Rider, right? Either way, we're pretty done for, I guess. It's the Rider. Okay. That is less bad, but still very bad. Still means we just need an absolute miracle off the top here. Okay, so if we're taking 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We cannot block... We cannot eat something with the beast and still live. We would have to be eating a 2-3. And then chumping the 5-5, and then we take exactly lethal. So this is just... It just gets worse and worse. So we might as well trade off with the biggest one. Jump the second biggest one, go to 2. Try to draw our damnation. Oh wait, we don't have one. Even so, we'd still be at 2 life, which is pretty bad. And we just draw a dead land. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Well, technically, the game can still go on, because we can play Lingering Souls and make 4 jump blockers, but obviously this is not a winning line. Feels bad to drop this one like this at the end, my friends, but I'm not going to complain that much about losing to a cool deck like Humans or a cool deck like Prowess. At least it's not some of the absolute garbage that passes for modern decks these days. But, yeah, pretty unlucky, I think. Just bad top decks. You know, we're flooded. We're lacking all of our good interaction. Because remember, there's a kill spell under that freebooter. So any kill spell for freebooter at any point in the game unlocks another trophy. And then the game's vastly different. And like the whole purpose of our deck is that we do kill the board. But so it feels bad when we kind of fail at one of our core missions. Because, you know, our kill spells are pretty bad when you're against some of the nonsense of Modern. You draw a Fatal Push in the face of Tron, for example. So it feels bad to not have them when you really need them. However, this was a league with a lot of really close games. Yeah, that first one went to... that first round, we got dumped. But got dumped out of the first round pretty hard. But I believe every other match we just played went to the third game. No, we 2-0'd Burn. That's right, we 2-0'd Burn. Okay. So that was cool. And otherwise, we took everybody to game 3 that we lost to. And they were tight games, they were close games. Yeah, so not our best result ever, but I think some good gameplay. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, we can complain a little bit about our variance, but I won't belabor that point here. But, you know, the Prowess deck kind of nut drew us. The Humans deck, we had a game 1 keep that was really punished for being against an aggro deck. And then in game 3, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We could count Inquisition in this, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. If we liberalize the spread and include things like Plague Engineer, which wouldn't always get outright kills, but sometimes would have, and if nothing else, certainly stem the tide. I said slow the tem, because I'm trying to say stem the tide. I'm tired, guys, what can I say? We had about 22, like, really solid draws, and we're just hitting Lingering Souls and lands. When we already kind of had a clunky top end that was dependent on our push and our trophy extending the game long enough to leverage them. So I think we can safely say we were desperately unlucky there in the final game. Always feels bad to kind of roll over and die when half of your deck is super live. And even if we weren't drawing super live stuff, you know, like a good old Tarmogoyf would have made them at least have something, would have at least stemmed the tide a little bit. That said, we still did do Abzan things here. We still did have some nice Stoneblade moments, but we never quite carried away with a win off of Stoneblade, maybe once. It wasn't really core to our progression here. We just kind of had a lot of medium progressions, and don't get me wrong. I think to an extent that's kind of what you sign up for with Abzan. That's not a criticism. It means that, like, unlike Rock and Jund, you're going to more often open on hands that contain, for example, a Path to Exile in the opener. That is a good card to have access to, but is not necessarily part of, like, a crushingly oppressive anti-aggro curve out because you give them a land. Lingering Souls is also in this kind of broad category where you're going to open on Lingering Souls a lot of the time, and it is a very good card. It is an attraction to playing the archetype, but it's not really, in most matchups, like, yes, I got my Lingering Souls in the opener, opponent is not going to be able to function. Like, it's more of like the natural, consistent, steady value of Abzan after the dust settles. So with Abzan, you kind of have to maybe get a little bit luckier with your early to mid-game top decks to make up for that, whereas a deck like Jund just has, especially post-side, a 60 that is a little bit more ruthless, a little bit more just statistically likely to top deck oppressive curve outs relative to what the opponent's doing. And we didn't. We had the opposite. We had below average top decks in a lot of the mid games. And a lot of the early to mid games is where we lost. We got tempoed out or we got aggroed out. And we couldn't quite stem the tide and make it to the late game where Abzan really does shine. I also have to say, I have to mention the Fulminator Mage question. I do think these should be in an Abzan deck, even though, again, Abzan's probably the shell to try it if you want to try BGX out without Fulminator, but right now I don't believe in it. We were just very, very low percentage to win the Titan match overall without it. Like, especially with only 2 Ashioks. Like, maybe you're abandoning the Stone Rain plan and playing 3 to 4 Ashiok, and then also having an additional gotcha card against Titan of some other kind. Maybe Choke qualifies for that. But if we're just kind of saying we're playing a couple Ashioks as normal and then omitting Fulminator, I don't know. I personally wouldn't do that right now, but you guys, as always, can let me know. Anyway, we cannot cash every single league, and we did not sadly cash this one, but we were very close. We were within probably one good draw of beating both humans and Prowess in Game 3, and then it could have been a 4-1. As it was, it is a 2-3 getting crushed by Titan, and after the Titan matchup, it was a fun league. Really interactive game against Dredge, scraping out against them. Close games against Burn, where we 2-0'd them. And we did get to go, we did get to run Riot one time with Batterskull and Sword of Fire and Ice together. And then a couple narrow losses against a couple fun decks. I like Prowess a lot, I like humans a lot. So anyway, my friends, that will do it. I want to thank Andre McInerney for your long-standing support as a confidant. Really appreciate you, my friend. People like you are what keep the channel going. And again, I just want to say thank you so much. Wish we did better for you in this league, but, I virtually never do second takes with the donation leagues. It's really only if the content is, like, really bad for some reason, like a ton of slow play and a ton of non-games, and that's happened, like, once ever. I don't do redos if I go negative. We just usually happen to go positive. We're lucky enough to do that with the donation leagues, but today wasn't it. So anyway, Andre, hope you still enjoyed this one, my friend. We'll communicate more about your list, I'm sure. Reach out to me with any feedback you have here. And I want to say an extra thank you once again to all of our new and upgraded Patreon supporters. Adam Bush, Rachel Kellogg by way of Ian Ray, they're kind of working together there. Love to see that birthday gift. Teddy Dector for the upgrade, and Timothy Toronto, whose notification literally came through as a new patron during my opening deck tech. So there you go, guys. Not our best result, but this was a fun league, and Abzan's got real potential. It still needs to be probably refined. I don't know if enough people are playing it to have fully solved it, and it's got some conundrums to overcome, but I've talked about those before. I will talk about them again in the future, and the league, I'm sure, has gone on quite long enough, so let's leave it there. If you're interested in donation leagues, please do check out the link below. It's to a Patreon post, but you can read that post even if you're not a patron. And if you're interested, just get at me somewhere, and I will get back to you. We'll figure something out. Anyway, guys, stay tuned to the channel. More BGX gameplay in Modern, remaining our focus, along with the other supplementary content like Mono Red Prowess in Modern, and a little occasional Pioneer action as well. I will see you for the next video, and I hope everybody out there is staying safe and healthy, and I hope you have a wonderful day.